Good day, everyone. I'm your host, Paul Lawrence Van, and honored that you could be with us in this early 2022. What a year! We all welcome you to Wealth Academy podcast, and our mantra is wealth is more than just money. And today we have a remarkable guest that's on, and she is a book expert, book coaching expert, and publisher, and she's doing great things. And her name is Mitali Deypurkaystha. Good morning, Mitali. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me and Happy New Year.
Okay, same to you, same to you. Now, I'm going to read her background, which it is really remarkable. And then we're going to get into the interview questions so that you can learn how you can write your business book with the help of Mitali. I think that's a good deal, Mitali. Don't you think so?
Sounds perfect.
All right. So she leads Tell Your Story Publishing and Mitali Media Limited. She does book publishing, book coaching, business books, and book marketing. She's a vegan book coaching and publishing expert and transform entrepreneurs and business leaders into professionally published authors. And she helps vegan ethical business leaders and entrepreneurs. She boosts their visibility and credibility and helps them to gain more leads and sales, become an authority and thought leader in their industry, amplifying their voice to build a pro-vegan world. Now, Mitali is based in Gateshead, England, the beautiful England, which I've visited before. And today she's going to be sharing her expertise with you because we know, Mitali, in the early part of the year, everyone has these, what they call New Year's resolutions.
Oh,
And,
yes.
and a lot of these entrepreneurs, they're saying, I'm going to write a book. And so now we're going to give them this platform and we're going to help them to set that goal and write that book and get it published with your help. So without further ado, Mitali, welcome once again. And one of the things I want to look at is the fact that I had interviewed you before. That's before you became an author.
It was. I was, gosh, when was this? Was this January of last year when we last spoke?
Very similar time frame.
And I was getting close to, I was publishing my book in March.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was before I published. Yeah, before I became a published author.
Absolutely. So we're back, and now she's a #1 international best-selling author of the amazing book, The Freedom Master Plan. But what I want to talk about, and I want listeners to understand, is taking this craft of yours of writing, which you are exceptional at. Did it find you, or did you find it? Please share what that journey is like for you.
Oh, gosh. How long have you got, Paul? I don't think we've got that long. I could be here all day talking about this. That is a big subject you've just thrown at me. Well, I mean, if I have to go right to the beginning, I was told, I do not remember this, I was too young, but I was told my very first day of nursery, we call it nursery, I think you guys call it kindergarten.
Correct.
I was a very precocious child, very outspoken, wanted to speak to everybody, loud, entertaining, that kind of child. And so I went to my first day at nursery, kindergarten. But what I didn't realize is I'm the oldest of 4 children, and my parents spoke Bengali to me.
Yes.
So as a child, you do not have the concept of other languages unless you're exposed to it. So I thought the whole world spoke Bengali, because why wouldn't I think that?
Exactly.
And then I go to school and I'm running around trying to make friends, speaking to all of these lovely kids, and they're all kind of looking at me going, who is this strange girl? Or what is she saying to me? So I must have realized they don't understand me.
Exactly.
And I was told that I ran off to a little corner library. You know how all nurseries and kindergartens have a corner library. I went up to the corner library. To this day, I have no idea whether I was aware of the fact that if I could read these books, I'll be able to speak the language, or maybe it's just somewhere for me to hide some refuge. I actually don't know, because I don't remember this. But my mother tells me that after that, every time she'd drop me off, I would run off to the corner library and I'd start reading books. Within a year, the teacher told my mother that they had to get new books in, because I'd read all the books in the library.
Wow.
So they now needed. So that's where my love of the language and reading, and then it was a natural progression moving into writing. And then the writing thing, it was really just something I did for fun. I was always really good at English literature and English language and that kind of thing, but I never really saw it as a career opportunity.
Sure.
Typical Indian educated girl, she has to be a doctor. So
Doctor.
I was considering being a doctor. That's kind of what my parents wanted for me as well.
Sure.
And then my teacher at high school took one of the essays that I'd written and she sent it off for a national competition.
Sure.
And I and 29 other children won a place at a course, a writing course over summer. This is in 1996. And that changed everything for me, because when I came away from that, I actually co-wrote an episode of a long-running soap called Brookside here in the UK. It's a bit like The Bold and the Beautiful, but nowhere near as beautiful and as glamorous as you guys really do beautiful and glamorous when it comes to. Our soaps are more gritty, I would say. But seeing the episode that I'd co-written go live nationally to the whole country, it sparked something in me. That's when I thought, okay, this isn't just something for fun. I could actually do this as a career.
Yes.
And that's how it all started. Wow. So yeah, it's from a very early age it came from.
Exactly. So you actually had a what we would call a roadmap, even though at the time it wasn't considered one, or a blueprint that was leading up to it, because reading has a lot to do with being able to write very well. And
it does.
Yeah, it has a lot. I know as a speaker, we have to read a lot of books to acquire some more knowledge. And in your particular case, you took it to the next level, and you've made it your craft, which is excellence. One of the things that I want listeners and viewers to understand is that you were a ghostwriter for several years, and you helped write 7 books for clients. And as you were writing these books, at that time, you had not written yours. You helped them to amass and generate about $5 million in book-related services and products, etc. So when it came to having written those 7 books, was there that transition for you writing your own, the Freedom Master Plan, and how that you decided that, well, now it's time for me?
Yes, there wasn't. Yes and no, Paul.
Okay.
I can never give a decent. I should be a politician, shouldn't I? Can't just give you a yes or no answer. I should be. I missed my calling there. Should have been. No, I'm too nice to be a politician.
Me
That's
too.
I would say no, but mainly no, because I was happy as a ghostwriter. I was making very, very good money. And by the time I was writing my 7th, I was known in that particular industry as one of the best ghostwriters. If you really want a book that's going to put you on the map, that was the phrase my clients used for me. They said, the book she wrote me put me on the map. And that became almost like my catchphrase, really. So I was very happy. I was traveling the world. This is obviously pre-pandemic times. Seems like another world away now. So I was traveling the world because I didn't need to be located anywhere. As long as I had a Wi-Fi connection, I could work from anywhere in the world. I was very, very happy. And I always say you don't have a chance for growth when you're happy. Happiness is great, but you shouldn't always plan to be happy all the time, because you can't grow as a person. Because why grow when you're happy? If you're happy, you're content.
A little bit of struggle doesn't hurt anyone.
Exactly. So sometimes, even though it's horrible when bad things happen in your life, you kind of have to take a step back and go, but what's the growth here? Because this is actually a gift, even though it doesn't feel like it. It's actually a gift. And the pandemic was actually a gift to me.
It's a gift.
It hurt me in the beginning, having to stay stuck in England and not doing my normal traveling, but it allowed me to sit and think about what I really wanted to do with my life. And one of the things I worked out was, by the time I wrote my 7th book, I wrote it in 6 weeks.
Wow. Very nice.
Compare that to the first book, took me just under 18 months, 17 months or so. 16, 17 months. I don't even remember it was that long. It went on forever, or felt like forever. So by the time I wrote my 7th book, it dawned on me that I'd created almost a structure or a recipe for myself that I was just now using again and again. And that's why the speed was there, without forsaking any accuracy.
Yes.
So it just dawned on me, well, why don't I show people my structure? Why don't I show people exactly how I go about? So as soon as I get an assignment,
Yes.
how do I go about structuring a great book? And if I
Yes.
just show these people, then I can affect more people, because I can only write maybe 5 or 6 books in a year at a
Yeah.
push. I'm not
Exactly.
even sure I want to write that many books in a year. I'd like to travel and have a life.
Labor
Um,
intensive.
but if I can, exactly, but if I can show people how to write their own books, I could potentially help hundreds, thousands of entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
So that was where the idea came about. Regarding writing my own book, believe it or not, it wasn't because I'd written 7 books for other
Oh,
people and
okay.
thought, now, it actually wasn't.
Tell me
The
more.
reason, I'll tell you why I wrote my book, Paul, and you might laugh about this. I always think if you're going to be a book coach and you don't have a book out there, it's a bit like going to a dentist with bad
Yes.
teeth. You
Yes.
wouldn't trust them.
You're going to
If
trust me.
if I if
Exactly.
I got a new dentist and he had terrible teeth, I would say
Sure.
stay the hell away from my teeth. Because if
Exactly.
you can't, you're a dentist, and if you can't look after your own teeth, what
Uh-huh.
are you going to do to mine? It's the
Exactly.
same thing as a book coach. I
Sure.
thought, how do I get people to trust me and think, yeah, this woman really knows what she's talking about? It's not, if I could point them to the 7 books I'd already written, then
Sure.
that in itself would work. But I had agreements in place with all my clients
Uh-huh.
that say I cannot reveal that I'm the writer, because
Correct.
obviously they're on the books.
That's right.
They're now doing podcasts, and 2 of them actually have their own podcast shows now, which
Got
they
it.
have quite, semi-famous guests that now come on and then lauded as the author of this amazing book. They don't
Sure.
want someone from little old Gateshead, England saying, actually, I wrote that book.
I wrote that book. 7
So
of them.
I have agreements in place,
Sure.
NDAs that
Yes.
say I
Yeah.
will never say I wrote those books. So I thought, well, how do I now, where's my credibility? Where's
Sure.
my authority? How do I let people know that I can do what I do? Sadly, being a book coach is not like a doctor. There's not like this huge,
Uh-huh.
registrar somewhere where you have to sign in as a doctor, and you can get struck off if you do something wrong. There's nothing like that. Anybody literally can just decide, tomorrow I'm a book coach, and they just stick a website up and they could be a book coach. So
Exactly.
how do I prove to people that I really do know what I'm talking
It's
about?
that
That's where
self-actualization.
the book came in.
Yeah, self-actualization, actually writing one. Now, I know that you work with a lot of conscious entrepreneurs and help them to write a business book. And you also, of course, lead Let's Tell Your Story Publishing. Let's talk about that a bit in terms of how that all came about. In other words, when people look to an expert to write a book, you also help them to become bestsellers as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I do know some people who right now are writing books and some are considering it. And so this is their moment to listen so they can connect with you.
Yeah. Well, what I do is I've got 2 programs, and they're both great. It's more a case of which one suits you. So if you've come into 2022 and it's like, I need to write this book. I've been thinking about writing a book for years. I'm driving myself crazy now. I'm sick of myself. I need to get it done.
Yes.
I have it's called my 90-day program, and it does what it says on the tin.
Sure.
It's quite a high, it's a tense program, because it's going to take it out of you. For
Sure.
6 weeks, I coach you into writing this book. I usually ask for at least 15 hours a week of work towards the book
And
for
that's
6
that's
weeks.
good.
And then I have a team of editors, publishers, designers, formatters, all these
Interior
amazing
design, book
people that you
cover.
need. Yeah, because it's important. You have to remember that, just cobbling something together on PDF and uploading it to Amazon does not make you a publisher. Sorry, it does not make you a published author.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've now seen people on Amazon, they say, oh, I'm an author. Then I'll go and look at their book, and it's a 50-page PDF. I'm just thinking, that's not a book. That's a free giveaway. People have been doing that for 15 years on their website. You can't just now stick that on Amazon and call yourself an author. To be an author in the proper sense, your book has to be professionally published. So I have an awesome team of professionals who have worked with major publishers, as well as the media, such as the BBC, NBC. People have worked in the media who know exactly what a book should read and look like. So that is great for anybody who thinks, I just want to get this done. And it just means if you stick to the plan, in 90 days, you're a professionally published author,
Now
both paperback and Kindle.
Now that's amazing. In 90 days.
In 90 days. It's fast. It's really fast and furious. Like I said, it will take it out of you. The first 6 weeks, I ask for at least 15 hours a week. So it suits some people, because what they do is they tell their family they're not going to see them much for a month and a half.
Exactly.
Sorry. And then they work in their business, and then they find 15 hours during the week or at the weekend, and then they get it done. And it also means that they don't have to think about anything else. You know, they know that once they've written it, it's with my team, and they're not having to find a great editor, find a great designer. Again, the problem I find with these professionals, not with those professionals exactly, but anybody can say they're an editor. There really isn't. It's not like being a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant, where you have this independent body that can strike you off if you're saying you're something that you're not. You know, unfortunately, anybody can stick themselves on some sort of freelancing website.
Looking at the industry standards.
Exactly. So the wonderful thing about the 90-day program is, first of all, it's a very finite amount of time. It's 6 weeks of possible hell, but you're going to get through it. I will drag you across the finishing line if I have to, and we'll get that book out of you. And then my team will take it away and turn it into a fabulous book.
Yeah.
It's great for people. But for some people, I'm very, very aware it's a bit much. Some people just literally do not have 15 hours a week. You know, they'd love to do it, but they don't have 15 hours a week. So then I also have my, it's my video program. And it's just a self-paced video program where I show you step-by-step on video how to plan your book, how to write it. And I even show you how to do your own edit. I hated that, Paul. I really didn't want to put that module in, because I'm a big believer that it's always good to have a fresh pair of eyes and a second opinion.
Absolutely.
But I got that many emails from my audience saying, yes, but what if I don't have enough money? Can you please show me how to do my edit? So you have to please your audience, don't you? If you're a good entrepreneur, you have to please your audience. And that's what I was asked for. So I put in a module in there that shows you how to do your own edit, even though I'd rather you didn't.
I think you should stick with the professionals myself, because when I wrote my first book, I'm just like you. I wrote my book. Then I had to find someone for the book cover, the interior design, the editing. And it's a lot of more work. But what you do, you have a complete package. It's all
It's a complete. If you go for the 90-day program, then that's it. And that's what my students on that program, that's what attracted them. They've been to the book coaches, and they kind of have this, oh, well, you can pay me $500 a month, you know, and the next thing you know, you've been working with that coach for like a year or longer. And suddenly it would have been cheaper just to work with me and upfront rather than doing that. And also then once you get to the end of it and you finish your manuscript, then it's like, okay, now I need to find an editor. And there's all these headaches. With the 90-day program, it's just all sorted. Just come in, do the hard work for 6 weeks, get that book out of you. The rest, I will take care of it. I'm organizing everything. Or if you want the self-paced option, there's a video program. And even then, at the end of it, once you finish your manuscript, it's entirely up to you. I tend to find around 60% of my students come to me and say, hey, can I use your team? Because they just like the fact that I will organize everything and they don't have to deal with it. I would say 40% of my students have friends who do something so they can get better rates. So they go and find their own editors and designers. Or I have one gentleman who's a designer himself. So he's going to design his own cover and do the interior design. He just wants to use my editor and that's it. So you have the option with the self-paced program on what you want to do.
Okay. And I know one thing that really sparked my interest in terms of trying to help people to better understand what you do is that you focus the business book that these entrepreneurs write or people write as a lead generation. And
exactly. That's so key.
A lot of people don't write for that purpose. They write, well, I have a book, but with not the intent of generating revenue for. So what was that experience like, I guess, with those 7 people ghostwriting books that you help write to help position them to generate some revenue from the business?
Great thing about those 7 people, Paul, is they were very similar to you, very switched on. They're entrepreneurs. So they knew a book would really put them on the map. They knew that a book would give them that authority. So I learned from them. That is where this idea came from. I learned from them. When I wrote these books, I had no idea. I'm not a marketer. You know, I was a writer. That's my craft. I write. You tell me what you need written and I go and write it. There you go. That's what I do. And it was only interviewing them later on after the book had been published. And that's actually the premise of my book, The Freedom Mastermind. It's the stories of these 7 people and what they did next with the book I wrote them. And I was floored with all the different amazing things that they were using their book for. That was just generating them leads to the point where they were now getting more leads than they can handle, and they're actually turning business away and saying, "Yeah, it's too much. I can't do this anymore."
Problem to have.
And that is a wonderful problem when you've got too many people to work with and you don't have the time, so you have to push it away. And that's what the Freedom Master Plan was all about. And the reason why I called it the Freedom Master Plan is it gave them the book when leveraged correctly. And that's the key thing. When leveraged correctly, the book gave them freedom from a lot of the things that most entrepreneurs suffer with. For example, lead generation is a huge one for most entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Most entrepreneurs are on this feast and famine cycle. So they get a lot of work in. They're very happy. Yay, I have money. They then do the work. The money runs dry and now they're panicking and it's like, oh my God, I need more leads. And they run this feast and famine cycle throughout. It's and like having a book and leveraging it correctly gives you freedom from that.
Yeah. And in fact, with part of the Freedom Master Plan, you also have a series in there. You have a plan that people can follow that you provide to them, correct?
Yes, I give them an entire plan that they can. What I always say with the Freedom Mastermind is you don't want to implement every single strategy in there because your brain will blow up. It's just too much, you know? Even my clients, the 7 clients, they did very different things. And that's why they all feature in my book. So what I always say to any entrepreneur who's thinking of writing a book is just go and get my book. I think it's available for like $1 or $2 on Amazon. So the reason I price it low is my book generates leads for me. So I don't really want to make money from my book. So even my paperback is priced at whatever Amazon charges me to print and send the book out. That's it. So it's very, very cheap. Go and get a copy of the Freedom Mastermind. And then what I would do is read it and just have a pen and paper or a notepad next to you. And just jot down when you get a flash of inspiration, because it's very story based. I'm a big believer that people learn when you tell them stories. When you just throw facts and figures at them, it's like, oh God, after about 5 minutes, you're
done with that.
Stories are amazing. It's just how we learn things. And so it's all story based. And I'm telling you the story, the case studies of these clients of mine. And whenever you think, oh, I can do that in my business. Oh yeah, I can implement that. Write it down. And by the time you get to the end of my book, you should have at least 3 or 4 strategies that on how to leverage your book. That will now give you the push, the motivation to actually write your book. I've had so many people who've come to me, who've become my students, who said, I've been thinking of writing a book for 10 years and I still haven't. But until I read your book and I could actually visualize what I will do with my book, once that became clear, then suddenly I was like, I need to write this book. Because now they got excited. They're like, I had this one gentleman who'd been running Facebook ads. And doing reasonably well. He had reasonably good conversions. And what he was doing was he was running Facebook ads, and people would go to this place where he gave like a free course. It was only like about 4 modules. It was like half an hour's worth of video because it's a free course. So you're not going to get hours and hours worth of video. But it was a free course. And then, you know, he's been thinking about writing a book for many years, over 10 years, but just putting off because life gets in the way. And then he read my book and suddenly he just had this flash. He was like, I should run Facebook ads to my book and see if that. Suddenly he was like, yeah, I want to write this book. He wrote his book. And I think in 3.5 weeks, he wrote it.
Oh, very nice.
He just suddenly had this motivation. And then I know he just had this fire in his belly now. Now it's like, now I can see what I'm going to do with it. So he wrote the book, we published it, and he started, and it's now got 2.5 times the conversions.
Wow.
So that's become his major lead generator.
That is
So
wonderful.
I always said, but I mean, I'm not saying now everyone should do Facebook ads. That might not be suitable
Sure.
for your business. This is what I mean about just go and read my book,
Uh-huh.
have a pen and notepad to hand, and just write down anything that you think, yeah, I can see that fitting in with my particular business and my particular situation. Some strategies won't be for you. They'll be like, no, that won't work for my business. That's fine. Don't use it,
Oh, yeah.
But that's the best advice. Any entrepreneur that's listening now and thinking, I do want to write a book, but I think that was the other reason why I wrote my book, Paul. Apart from the fact that to give me credibility,
Sure.
but apart from that, it was because I'd met so many people who told me, entrepreneurs who told me they want to write a book.
Yes.
But they just can't visualize exactly what they're going to do with their book.
Right.
Once it's published, and where you've got to with your books.
Absolutely, yes.
But I'm sure you'll agree with me. I mean, I've read your first book. Your book is fantastic, but even if it was terrible, it doesn't matter. What you do with the book counts almost more than what's in the book.
Yes.
I've seen people with quite mediocre books. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get into trouble. But I've read some quite famous and yet mediocre books. I've read them and thought, I've read better.
Yeah, a lot of it is celebrity status, athlete, entertainer. Yeah,
exactly.
People buy
and they've done amazing things with their book because what you do with it almost counts more than what it is.
Yes.
So that is my goal with the Freedom Master Plan, that once someone reads it, it really solidifies and clarifies what they're going to do with their book. Once you know that as an entrepreneur, then it becomes a no-brainer to write a book. Otherwise, I can see why it's difficult, because if you're any kind of decent entrepreneur, you're always thinking of return on investment.
Exactly.
You're always, otherwise you're not going to last very long if you don't keep an eye on return on investment.
Absolutely.
And with a lot of entrepreneurs, I don't think they really have worked out, okay, so I spend this time and energy and money writing this book. I can't visualize what I'm going to do with it that's going to return my investment and then make me profit.
Exactly.
Hopefully, once they read the Freedom Master Plan, they can see exactly how they can very easily get a return on investment.
Yes. Now, Mitali, I tell you, I've had some great experiences in my life. I've seen a lot of sunrises and sunsets. But when you had your book launch for the Freedom Master Plan, that was a moment in time. It was mind-blowing. And there was so many people from all parts of the world there. Let's talk about what that was like for you when you launched your book. I was observing it, virtually, and I'm telling you, I'd never seen anything like that before. It was amazing. Share what how did that make you feel?
I had an out-of-body experience, to be honest, Paul. I don't actually fully remember it. I think I was just running on, well, I have to perform here. They've all come for me. And yes, I had a wonderful magician and a wonderful singer, but they were the light entertainment. People came to see me, so I kind of had to perform. So I just did it, but I don't actually remember much of it. I have to pinch myself sometimes, Paul.
Yeah.
At one stage, I was told there was over 163 people from all over the world, and it was incredible.
And the book was #1 internationally, #1 in the UK.
It already hit, and it was only released earlier that day. And I was just, I honestly, don't make me cry, Paul. It still makes me like, I still can't quite believe it. I honestly can't quite believe it. I was working, I say this and I mean this, I was working on a 1-to-4 ratio. So I thought if I ask 200 people, 50 will turn up.
Yes.
That's a good number of people. That's what I was working on. For then 163 people to turn up, it's like, whoa. And even the 40 odd that didn't turn up, for the next week or for the whole weekend, I was getting, I'm so sorry I didn't make it. My kids were playing up and on all of these. And I was like, it's okay. It's obviously okay.
This was in the middle of a pandemic.
I know. It was just incredible. But I mean, I think, I was just discussing this with somebody else earlier this morning, that the pandemic has been awful. We can all agree that it's been awful what it's done to this planet. But you've got to try and
navigate it.
You've got to try and find the few, beads of goodness in there. And one of the beads of goodness for me has been that that book launch party would not have happened.
Yeah, it was
You
amazing.
know, we
It
were
was,
writing, this was March of last year,
yeah.
completely locked down.
Uh-huh.
People were stuck at home and they came to my launch party. I don't think it would have been anywhere near as successful if there wasn't a pandemic, you know? So
No, that's right.
how can I
It
complain?
was one of the most amazing experiences I'd ever had. And looking at
Thank
a book
you.
launch, and I'm the author of 3 books, 3 solo books, and 3 co-authored books. So that was very special. That was
But
very,
again, I mean, what I would reiterate what I said before. It's
yeah,
not almost, I'm not putting my book down. My book is
sure.
quite marvelous. I
Oh,
promise you.
absolutely.
But even if my book wasn't,
Yes,
it really is not what is, yes, what's inside the book counts,
yes.
but what you do with it
You read
counts
that.
even more. And the reason, a lot of people have asked me, well, how did you
Yeah,
get so many people to
yeah.
come to your launch party? Thinking there's some sort of magic button that you just press somewhere,
Oh,
like
no, it takes
press.
work.
It's like, no, you'll know this as well. But I'm sure people look
It's,
at your success and
yeah,
like,
it's a
how did
production.
you do it?
Yeah,
Expecting you to say, well, there's a secret. And I just
right.
said, there's no secret. It's
Secret.
just
Yeah,
getting out there,
yes,
putting the graft in day in, day out. I was ringing
exactly.
people. I was leaving personalized voice notes,
Uh-huh.
inviting people. I didn't do the whole mass mail invite, just
Yeah,
send it out on an autoresponder to loads of people and
yeah.
hopefully they turned up. I was sending personalized emails,
Uh-huh.
voice notes, ringing them up saying, hey, I'm having my book launch party. If you can make it, please, can you come? That is why that many people came
Uh-huh.
to my party. That is why that many people ended up buying my book and getting it to bestseller status. You've just got to there's no magic button. There's no magic button, people, to success. I
Absolutely.
wish there was, because I would have rode that button. I would have pressed that a long time ago if I found it. It doesn't exist. You just have to get out there. And
Put it
that's
to
what I
work.
hope, I hope when people read my book, they start, the light bulb goes off in their heads and they're like,
Uh-huh.
I need to just get out there and leverage it. Whatever I'm doing, whether I'm running ads, whether I'm using it as a referral system,
Sure.
all these strategies are in my book. Just find 2 or 3 strategies and just do them diligently, day in, day out. Just keep doing them, and you will have 6 and 7-figure brands like my clients have.
Absolutely.
There's no magic
No
bullet.
magic. Yeah, it's the work, putting in the work.
Put the work in.
You know, one thing I really honor, I'm honored by you is the fact that the stream of consciousness. So you're the vegan authority creator. Why should people embrace this way of life? Because yes, we are entrepreneurs, but we also have mind, body, spirit. And so part of what you do is really provide people with the knowledge of how to live an even better life. So please
Exactly.
share your philosophy on that. I think it's very important that many people hear it.
My philosophy is actually, I mean, again, this is something that happened from the pandemic. It really, really
Right.
did happen from the pandemic.
Okay.
When I became a book coach, I mean, I've been vegan for 10 years,
Okay.
so I always try to be ethically minded in everything that I
Sure.
buy and everything that I do. But I never saw it as something that came into
Uh-huh.
my business. I
Sure.
kept the 2 things separate,
Okay.
And then having the pandemic, being stuck in this country, not being able to do my traveling that I normally do, it
Uh-huh.
allowed me that quiet space to think. And that's when I realized I really wanted to champion conscious entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And the reason why is I think that is where the real change is going to happen. It's one thing saying, hey, I really want to help the environment, or I really want to, stick up for animal rights and that kind of thing.
Sure.
But the average person, especially in the West, they're
Yes.
just trying to live,
Yeah. Trying to
That's
survive.
why I don't look down on non-vegans. I don't
Sure.
have this, I'm vegan, therefore I'm somehow better than people who are
Right.
not. I understand that the average person has so many other things that are going on in their mind. They're trying to live. They're trying to look after their family. They're trying to navigate this thing called life. They're
Sure.
working long hours. And then you're telling them, oh, by the way, your meal choices and your clothes choices are wrong. They're not gonna take very kindly to that.
It
They're
makes
gonna say,
for a long day.
I'm doing my best. I've got
Yes.
kids. I'm doing my best.
Uh-huh.
Where the real change is going to happen is from entrepreneurs.
Yes.
I read something over the weekend, which kind of blew my mind a little bit. There was it was a survey done on the middle classes in China, of all places, which you would think animal rights is pretty low down the priority when it comes to China. And they were doing a survey of the middle classes in China, and they came out that over 70% of them preferred vegan leather over leather. Not because of animal rights, because China doesn't really don't have much of an animal rights thing that's going on over there, but mainly because it was just better quality, the vegan leather. And then it's now in China starting to be seen as the thing to be seen with. Like if you're wearing or you got a bag that's made of leather, it's like, you just got a leather bag. But if you have a vegan leather bag, there's like this prestige to it. It's a vegan leather. And people start talking about, oh, it's cork leather. Oh, it's paper leather. That's where the change is going to be, you know, instead of just bashing people with the animal rights. And we all know that, but we're living such busy lives. Sometimes it gets too much to then take on that you need to be kind to animals, that you need to be kind to the environment, that sort of thing. Where the change is going to be, where, vegan versions are just as good, if not better, than the non-vegan versions. And also the price starts to come to a point where it's the same. And then people go, well, if this is the same price and the same quality, or even better price and better quality, why would I not go for the vegan option than the non-vegan option? And that is why I decided to start focusing on conscious entrepreneurs and really putting them on the map, because I know that if I put these people on the map and they start building huge businesses and brands, more people will have the chance to become vegan. Because I really do think veganism is it's an economic issue. It's easy for middle classes like me in the West to tell other people, oh, you should be vegan. It's a privilege to be vegan. A lot of people, even in the West, do not have the money, they do not have the lifestyle to become vegan. So we need to remove those barriers so that everybody, no matter where you are on the planet, no matter how much money you have or don't have, you can be vegan, because it's a viable option for you.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for that. Now, our time is coming to a close, Mitali. I can't believe it. It seemed like we've only been here 5 minutes. But
we can talk forever, can't
we? Please share any comments that you have, any upcoming projects, how people can get in touch with you, to work with you, etc. Please.
Well, you can find me on social media. I'm just Vegan Publisher. So if you put in Vegan Publisher, I should actually say, because I have some people say, oh, I'm not vegan, will you not work with me? It's like, no, of course I will work with you.
Of course.
Imagine me just discriminating and just saying, no, if you're not vegan, I'm going to come to your house. And if I find any milk in there, I'm not working with you. Of course not. I mean, if you're doing so, for example, if you're a trophy hunter, please don't come and seek me out. I'm not going to want to work with you. But otherwise, don't get scared just because I'm vegan. Just because you're not vegan doesn't mean I don't want to work with you. I know it's a journey for people and it's going to take time. It took me 2 to 3 years before I became fully vegan. And so even though I'm called Vegan Publisher, I'm known on social media as Vegan Publisher. Please don't let that scare you. The other way is just go to my website, letstellystory.com. That's the name of my publishing company, letstellystory.com. Just go there and you can get in touch with me. You can email me. And I'd love to hear about what you're doing with your business. I'm always fascinated. I just, as soon as I think, Paul, I've learned all there is to know about business and all the different kinds of business, I meet somebody else and they're doing some other product or service that I've never heard of. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to stop learning here. And there's so many amazing entrepreneurs doing incredible things.
Great. I was at a book signing when I wrote my first book, and this gentleman there, he was a veteran. I was at one of the Air Force bases in Washington, D.C. And he said, I would buy your book, but I'm too old to learn anything new. And I told him, I said, well, that's not true. I said, you can learn up to 90, 100, 150 years old. Yeah, any age. You don't want to limit yourself. So I think it's very important that people look at that stream of consciousness to find out what best serves them. And really, when you get down to your book, the Freedom Master Plan, it does that. And I want more people to learn more about you. And I have it here on the banner, your particular website there, and they
Thank
can get
you.
LinkedIn and everywhere. So at this time, Mitali, thank you so much for enlightening people here as we start the new year. We want to help make 2022 the best year people ever had, especially for entrepreneurs who want to write their first book or their next book. And I want them to reach out to you for you to assist them in that process. So thank you very much for being the honored guest today. It's an honor and a privilege, my friend.
Thank you so much, Paul. Really appreciate this.
Okay, will do. And for all the viewers and all the people who will listen on the archive, thank you so much. Again, today, Mitali, she delivered the goods. You want to write that book? Now is your chance. Stop putting it off like I did for many years and do it now. You can do it in 90 days, or you can go with her more in-depth program and still be able to have your book delivered. So don't delay. Take care of it starting today. Again, go to www.letstellyourstory.com. So have a great day, everyone. I'll see you on the next episode of Wealth Academy Podcast. And don't forget our mantra, wealth is more than just money. Thank you so much, Mitali. And you have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful day, my friend.
You too.
All right. Thank you.